Welcome to the MLB Desk Podcast with your host, Alec Pecado. On today's show, I will be giving you my recap of the MLB from last weekend, as well as before we get started, my waiver wire article is it'll be up on the website after the show, but it is up on the YouTube community poll and my Twitter. But without further ado, let's get started here. Everybody knows the drill. The Cubs and Blue Jays. So we start with the Cubs and Blue Jays. And the Cubs, you see, won 16-2 on Friday against the Blue Jays. That is the hat I'm wearing today. I try to wear a different hat every show on Monday. But the Blue Jays, everybody wants to say the Blue Jays are still in the race in the AL East. I think it's between the Rays and the Yankees. And the Rays are 2.5 games behind the Yankees. And we'll talk more about the Rays later on in the episode. But the Cubs beat the White Sox 4-3. The Reds got shut out by the Yankees 5-0. But the bright spot is, as you'll see on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Reds did return the favor and beat the Yankees. The Marlins beat the Giants 4-3. The Marlins had 4 runs on 10 hits. Pete Fairbanks picked up his 100th career save. Congratulations to Pete Fairbanks on 100 career saves in the big leagues. The Rays beat the Nationals 5-2 behind a good pitching outing from Griffin Jax. And like I said later on in the show, I will firmly break down the Rays. The Braves beat the Brewers 3-2. And if you watched my video Friday, I talked about how the Braves and Brewers series, they could split that series and everybody would be fine with it. And I think I nailed it right on the head. The Rangers beat the Padres 9-7. The Astros beat the Guardians 9-3. Tatsuya Imai looked really good for the first time this whole season. And I know Astros fans, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later on in the show, but I know Astros fans don't like the notion that they could be sellers at the deadline because there's analysts out there that are saying that they are going to be buyers. Yes, the AL Central is a mess. I mean, the AL West is a mess outside of the Angels. You got the A's, you got the Rangers, and the Astros, all vying for first place. The Royals beat the Cardinals 6-5. Rockies beat the Pirates 4-3. I did mention in weekend preview that we could see the Rockies take maybe 1 or 2 games of this series. They took the first game. And then we get down to the Dodgers beat the Orioles 6-5. The Red Sox beat the Mariners 6-2. And now we get to Saturday. And we're not speed running through this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just letting you know. So, Saturday, the Tigers beat the White Sox 4-1. Reds beat the Yankees 10-2. And the Reds had a standout performance on the mound from Andrew Abbott. 5 innings, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. He did have 2 walks, and the standout hitter was Sal Stewart, 2 for 4 with a run scored and 6 RBIs, 6 ribbies. Blue Jays beat the Cubs 8-6. Padres even their series with the Rangers, beating them 6-4. The Braves beat the Brewers 4-3. Marlins beat the Giants 6-3. The Rays dropped the middle game to the Nationals 4-3. Guardians even up their series with the Astros, beating the Astros 8-1. The Phillies beat the Mets 15-3. And congratulations, Bryce Harper, on hitting for your first career cycle. The Rockies take the first 2 games from the Pirates. They beat the Pirates 2-1. And let me get down to the Angels beat the A's 7-0. And take into account, these 2 teams will match up again next weekend in Anaheim. The Orioles beat the Dodgers 3-2. Yennier Cano gets the save. Red Sox beat the Mariners 5-1, and the Twins beat the Diamondbacks 16-8. And we get to Sunday. Yes, I know we usually do the best. I'm doing a segment later on in the show with the best and worst performances of the weekend. Reds take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, beating the Yankees 4-1. Brewers avoid the sweep by taking game 3 against the Braves 9-4. Tigers beat the White Sox and sweep the White Sox. They take 2 out of 3, I believe, from the White Sox, beating the White Sox 5-4. Marlins sweep the Giants by beating them 2-1 on Sunday. The Rays take 2 out of 3 from Washington by returning the favor and beating the Nationals 4-3 on Sunday. The Guardians lose 2 out of 3 to the Astros 2-1. The Cardinals beat the Royals 12-10. High scoring game. The Rangers take 2 out of 3 from San Diego. The Pirates avoid the sweep by beating the Rockies 8-6. Twins take 2 out of 3 from Arizona by beating the Diamondbacks 4-2. Angels win 9-7. They take 2 out of 3 from the A's. Orioles take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers by beating the Dodgers 12-1, which coming into the weekend, I didn't think that was possible. I thought the Dodgers were going to just bludgeon the Orioles to death and beat them and sweep them. And they didn't. They lost 2 out of 3. That shows you that baseball, yes, some people want to say it's predictable, but anything can happen any given day in baseball. And for example, the Red Sox were going for the sweep, and they lose 3-1 to the Mariners. And then the Phillies sweep the Mets by winning 6-2. The Blue Jays and Cubs game was the only game on Sunday to be postponed due to rain. And I think later on in the show, not right now, hello. Now we get to a segment I am calling Best and Worst Performance of the Weekend. As presented by the sportsbreakdown.net website. Our best performance of the weekend, we start with, I've got two of them. The first one is Logan Gilbert of the Mariners. He went 6 in the third innings the other day, gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. And he looked pretty good doing it. For those of you that don't know, I do try to watch every MLB game since I have the MLB package. And the Mariners, I think they need to, I know people don't want to say, but I think Seattle just needs to. The Mariners just need to decide to go back to a 5-man rotation. I know they all agreed on doing the piggyback route, which I don't really care for, but that's me personally. I don't care for it. But, and the other best performance of the weekend goes to J.J. Weatherholt of the Cardinals. 3 for 5 with 2 home runs the other day on, I believe it was Saturday. He went 3 for 5 with 2 home runs, and he's been on the Cardinals the whole year, but the hype is real, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let that fool you. The hype is real. Now we get to the other side of the card, and we get to the worst performance of the weekend. And it's the Giants on Saturday versus the Marlins. Get this. They had not 1 error, not 2, not 3, 4 errors and 4 hit by pitches. So 8 total free base runners for the Marlins. The Giants gave up on Saturday afternoon. That is pathetic. That is atrocious. That's awful. That is awful. That is not something that ever happens. You don't want to see guys getting free bases. And now I'm going to cover the Rays for a little bit and give them some love. The Rays took 2 out of 3 from the Nationals over the weekend. And yes, I know there's people that say, oh, the Rays need to get rid of this guy. They need to get rid of this guy. They need to get rid of this guy. I disagree. Yes, Valade and DeLuca should be playing every day. DeLuca should be in center field every day or left. And then you have Valade in left or right every day. And then Mullins can play whenever one of those guys needs a day off. Ben Williamson should be playing shortstop or second base every day. Richie Palacio should be playing on a regular basis. You should also have, I would like to see Dominic Keegan get a chance at the big leagues, but I don't think that's going to happen till later in the season due to the fact that the Rays don't really need help at catcher right now. Yes, I know there's Rays fans out there that want Hunter Producer off the team because he can't hit. The man he's been hitting a lot better as of late. And so is Nick Fortes. I think the position the Rays need to upgrade the most at the deadline is probably starting pitcher. Yes, I like Griffin Jacks. Yes, I like Nick Martinez. I like Drew Rasmussen, Shane McClanahan. But the Rasmussen, McClanahan, yes, that might scare, and Martinez, that might scare you in the playoffs. But that 4 and 5, Jacks, and probably Ian Seymour, that doesn't scare a team in the playoffs at all. As a matter of fact, they'll look at that and say, oh, that's an easy win for us. So the Rays need to go out. I'm not saying trade for Tarek Skubal because I don't want to give up half the farm for a rental. Now, I'd be willing to give up 3 or 4 prospects to get Reed Detmers because you have him this year and you have him for 2 more years after this year. So I'd rather go after Detmers than going after a guy like Skubal. And down below in the comments, let me know what y'all think the Rays should do at the deadline. Or your favorite team, what they should do at the trade deadline. Now, we are going to go back to sharing the screen yet again. And I'm going to give you some picks for the MLB today. $6.35, you got the Tigers and Yankees. I am taking the Tigers here. The Yankees are going to come out ticked off because they just lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds. But I see the Tigers winning this game. Garrett Cole and Framber Valdez, that's a good pitching matchup. And I could see 2 or 3 runs being scored on each side, but the pitcher's getting into the 6th inning. So give me the Tigers to beat the Yankees. Rays and Royals. Rays coming off a series win against the Nationals. And now they welcome in Kansas City for 4. And then over this coming weekend, they'll welcome in the Diamondbacks. And the pitching matchup is Drew Rasmussen and Michael Wacha. If the Royals fall out of it, I can see Wacha being a trade target for the Tampa Bay Rays because he was a Ray at one point. But good luck getting a run off of Drew Rasmussen. 2.59 ERA, 0.86 whip. 0.86. He does not give up runs. He doesn't give up hits, is what I mean to say. Marlins and Rangers. And it's Tyler Alexander against Tyler Phillips. So it's the battle of the Tylers. And I'm going to take the Marlins here. Marlins are on a 3-game winning streak. Give me the Marlins to beat the Rangers. And give me Tyler Phillips over 4.5 strikeouts. That's my projected strikeout total for him. I'm saying he goes over that. You got the Nationals and the Phillies. It's Foster Griffin, and I think that's Alan Rangel. I'm going to Nationals. They stuck around in that Rays series. All the losses were 1 run, or 3 runs or less. They didn't get blown out in any of the 3 games in Tampa and St. Pete. And now they go back home and play the Phillies. Give me the Nationals. Astros and Blue Jays. And it's Hunter Brown against Dylan Cease. The over-under is 7.5 runs. Give me the under. I'm taking the under, and I'm going to leave it there. There is no way that either team scores more than 4 runs in this game. Well, the starters are it. Hunter Brown's been very good since coming back off the IL, and same with Dylan Cease. Cubs and Mets. Imanaga against Senga. I can see the over-unders 8.5 runs. Yeah, give me over 8.5 runs and give me the under on both starters making it out of the 5th inning. Brewers and Reds. Woodruff against Singer. I'm taking the Reds. They just took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. And the Brewers better watch out. The Brewers could be next on the chopping block. Give me the Reds to take 2 out of 3. Give me the Reds to win this game and take 2 out of 3 and take the series from the Brewers. White Sox and Guardians. White Sox have been the big surprise this year, ladies and gentlemen. Don't sleep on the White Sox. Give me the White Sox to win here. Twins and Dodgers. Give me the Twins to beat the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers' losing streak continues here. Cardinals and Diamondbacks. And it's Zebby Matthews. I think this is where Eric Lauer has his blow-up start. I think he gives up 5 or 6 runs in 4 innings, and he gets DFA'd. And mark my words and come back to this, River Ryan will be the guy getting called up for the Dodgers to take Eric Lauer's spot in rotation. Then you got the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks. Palante against Merrill Kelly. Give me the Cardinals, the surprise team in the National League so far this year. I'm taking the Cardinals to beat the Diamondbacks. Looks like we got another game. Rockies and Red Sox. Give me the Red Sox to beat the Rockies. Feltner against Bennett. I'm taking Bennett, and my projection for him is over 5 innings. I think he's going over 5 innings pitched. And these are not bets. These are just my predictions. Orioles and Angels. I think the Orioles win tonight. Bradish against Aldegari. We saw Aldegari against the Rays. He did okay. But I trust Kyle Bradish more. And then we get the Braves and Padres. It is Grant Holmes against Michael King. Give me the Braves. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, please like, subscribe, and check out the website. But that's going to wrap up today's episode of the MLB Desk Podcast. I will see y'all back here tomorrow night for another episode of the Around the Diamond Podcast with Bradley. Finally, we are back after a long time off. But have a wonderful rest of your day.